and you can't perfectly balance everything. And I believe a different approach, an alternative, is to be fully invested and present in whatever you're doing.
We want somebody else's life.
Yep.
And when we put ourselves in it, like if somebody go into my head, like
Yep.
the stuff when I'm going through the storms, be there for an hour and you will say, screw it. I don't want to be even close.
But really, if you can connect with someone and you can be honest, you can look them in the eyes and share what you care about and find connection, find alignment, that's going to be what you value most in a world that is completely run by technology.
I want to learn as much as possible about people's patterns, about people like struggles, all the stuff they go through. Just be around people that they don't talk about money, they don't talk about other people, they talk about the vision, about the
ideas,
patterns, the ideas, how can I change?
Improvement.
Welcome to Mastering the Inner and Outer Wealth with your host, Jarek Tadla, where we dive deep into the art of building freedom from the inside out. Together, we'll uncover practical strategies, real-life success stories, and expert insights to help you master your inner wealth and create the life you've always wanted. So let's get started.
Welcome to the Mastering Inner Wealth and Outer Wealth podcast. Today I have my good friend, Chad Willardson, and I'll probably screw up your last name. I always do that. Thank you, brother. How do I introduce you? Entrepreneur, author of a lot of books, but mostly I want you guys to know something. This is a person that inspired hell out of me. He's an amazing father, amazing human being, and a good heart. He's so, his energy is just being around him. I'm so humble and happy to have him around. And he raised my bar. He raised my bar of being a better father, better husband, better partner, and I always look up to him. And today I want to share his knowledge, his wisdom. We're going to talk about a little bit. We already start talking a little bit about the book coming up. You wrote 6 books. No, six is coming out.
6 is coming out, yeah.
This book I wrote. I read. This is another book. The one that you wrote for the kids.
Yep.
That's it.
Smart, Not Spoiled. That's how to teach kids about money, how to teach them to be smart and not spoiled. I mean, that's the title. So.
Yeah. So I'm child. I'm child. I have it was 3 of us, but I have 5 kids. Chad's got. How old are your kids?
5 kids,
like
yeah,
me
so
too.
9, 11, 15, 18, and almost 21.
Yeah, so almost like us.
Yeah, spread out.
So definitely the right experience. So Chad, let's start with the new book.
Sure.
It's an amazing topic. Tell me what it's gonna be all about. And
I'm excited, and the reason is most people are trying to be extremely successful in their business, and they often feel they eventually get to a point where they burn out. They burn out, or they have some traumatic incident where it wakes them up, and they're like, you know what? I maybe missed the mark on some things in my life, and maybe I wasn't fully invested in many different areas. I was only fully invested in one. And for a lot of us driven achievers, it's our business. And so this book is called Fully Invested: Why Work-Life Balance is a Total Lie. The 7 Strategies to Win Big in Business and at Home. And I think that work-life balance, to me, it's a myth. There's no such thing as balance. Like, we're all over the place. We're doing stuff. We're driven. We're focused. And you can't perfectly balance everything. And I believe a different approach, an alternative, is to be fully invested and present in whatever you're doing. So if it's business, you're fully invested in growing the business. And then if it's time to be with family, children, spouse, whatever it is, you're fully invested in that. If it's time to focus on your health and your self-care and your mental health and physical health, you're fully invested in that. And to me, that approach makes a lot more sense than trying to have some mythical balance in your life, which I just have never found.
but anybody that I know that is very successful, they go like 120 miles. 120 miles, 120% on anything they do.
Right.
And everything else is not important.
Right.
And I know how I lost my, that's how the podcast came out about, because, I almost committed suicide.
Yep.
So I lost myself because I forgot what is the most important.
Yep.
Me, my family, people that love me. But I forgot about myself because I was so focused on succeeding in the business, and I burned out so many times. I retired so many times.
Yep.
And then guess what? I got back because what happened was business became my identity.
Sure.
So I was hiding behind my business. And that's the only thing I knew. And even though if you tell anybody successful, find balance, like balance doesn't exist.
Doesn't exist. Yeah.
We want a part of every. I think Tony Robbins does this. He told me that the wheel, he put a circle around it,
Right.
and he just divided your career, your health,
Yes.
like mental, and
Yep.
physical, financial, spiritual, business, and it's like, how you doing? Can you rotate? And I was like, from 1 to 10, 12 in business. It was like 15 years ago, right?
Yep. Yep.
I was completely overweight. Right, like me overweight.
Yeah, I can't imagine that.
I can't imagine that.
Mr. Ironman champion, there's no way. Olympic swimmer, no
Yeah.
way.
Dude, I have everything else. It was like
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, but the one thing, it was 12.
Mm.
But then, I got a wake up call, and start working on the other very important things in our life.
Yep.
How do you you got to the point, because since I met you, you always talk about family value.
Yeah.
And how do you find the time and put it's again last event we had, we were in the Kentucky Derby. We had a Kentucky Derby,
Yeah.
and you just taking your plane and you just flying back home for the Sun game.
Yeah.
I'm like, who would do that?
I appreciated you mentioning that.
But to
Yeah.
me, it was
Yeah.
like, Jesus. This Kentucky Derby, we're in this amazing box with amazing people, and to you, it wasn't important. To you, what important was your daughter game.
No, it was my son. It
Your
was my son's
game,
volleyball game. Yeah.
game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And this was no even moral hangover. This was like, it was nothing to even negotiate. Like, I'm getting goosebumps because, to me, it was like, shit. Like, I want to have him around me. This is like raising my standards.
Yeah.
Like, maybe to you it's normal because, I asked you, before we start talking, you said that's all what I was like.
Yeah.
That's what I was taught.
That's what I was taught. That's how I was raised. Yeah.
But a lot of us wasn't.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the balance and how to jump from going 120 miles at work to 120 miles when the doors open at home.
Yeah.
And also with your partner, with your kids, with the connection. Because I
Yeah.
think I think that we connected more than anything else. So,
100%.
So how
I'm trying to talk to the Jarek, especially 10, 15 years ago, and say, hey, man, it's awesome that you make lots of money, Jarek, and your business is exploding. And you really need to focus on other parts of your life. And I try my best.
bullshit, Chad, dude?
No.
Look at this. I got goals to go. No, I want to
know
be
you
number
do.
one. I
I
want to
know
be
you do.
better. I want to do this. It's like,
So take that competitive drive and that addiction to success and apply it to other areas of your life. Like when I started out, I was hired at a big Wall Street bank straight out of college, Merrill Lynch. It's a Shark Tank. People are fighting and scrapping for multi-million-dollar accounts to manage, all these big business and big money opportunities. And what I found was there were people willing to compromise everything for the sake of fame and fortune. And there were opportunities to go and even take the investment banking route, which was 80 to 90 to 100 hours a week. And, I was married young. My wife, Amber, and I were married. I was 22. She was 20. We were broke. We were living in a small apartment. I was making $5.25 an hour, $5.25 an hour. I took the public transportation to work, and we had nothing except each other, and we knew that we had big goals, but we never wanted to sacrifice what mattered most for what we wanted in the moment. And so that looking through that filter my whole career was like, oh, I want to be very successful. I definitely always wanted to make millions of dollars. It's not like I wasn't ambitious there. It was that what would I be willing to sacrifice to get there? And I just chose to sacrifice other things. So I chose to sacrifice a lot of wasted time. I chose to sacrifice going to bars with guys at work who would go hang out on the weekends. I chose to sacrifice watching Netflix.
I want to mention something, guys. I'm sorry to interrupt. I want to mention something. We were coming here. We were sitting outside right before the podcast, and Chad goes, I think I'm the only one guy that you have on your podcast that I never touch alcohol. I never drank.
Never had a sip.
Because
I don't even know what it tastes like. And maybe that's the first. Maybe I'm the first on Yarek's podcast.
I think because we always somebody hitting like rock bottom with the drugs
Yeah.
or painkillers or eating poor addiction,
Yeah.
alcohol. And you're like, I never have a problem with alcohol.
I've never tried it. I don't know.
Never
I don't know
tried
what
it.
I'm missing. Maybe
You're
it's-
not missing anything,
I mean,
believe
maybe
me.
it's amazing.
I've been there.
I just don't know.
Brother, I've been there. You're
Yeah.
not missing anything. I'm like now 4 years.
Congratulations.
Over 4 years.
It's amazing.
Completely. I think, yeah, 4 years and probably, 4.5 years sober. And I will not take it back.
No
which I
reason.
do want to talk about this subject, but let's go back to
Oh yeah. So the point is, you have to make sacrifices to be ultra successful. It's not easy, and the type A achiever, the growth focused person just wants to go for big things, and there's nothing wrong with that ambition. I would say just be careful what you're sacrificing. Like to me, I wasn't going to sacrifice being a good husband or being an engaged father. I wasn't going to sacrifice my health. I know a lot of people who are 60 years old
Chad, I didn't
and their
know,
health is gone.
But I didn't know. I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know I'm sacrificing
Yep.
anything.
Yep.
I thought that's, hey, listen, I'm concentrating on work, and now I'm looking back, Chad. Like I'm looking back. That's why I want anybody to listen to this podcast, which is gonna be huge, because it's like, hey, maybe I'm doing it. Because if I had the conversation 10 years ago, I wouldn't know.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know what you're talking about.
You're not seeing it because you can't read the ingredient label from inside the jar.
Yeah.
And you're inside the jar saying, I'm doing great. But everything else around you is crumbling and suffering, and you're only focused on how much money am I making, how big is my business, and that's your whole identity, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
So how, like, I don't know if I'm asking the right question. How do we, because now I know how important it is. I know how much I lost because of that.
Yeah.
And mostly my soul, myself, and, also 2 ex-wives.
Yep.
And connections with my kids, with my older kids. I just, rebuilding everything new. How do we make people realize that, hey, something to think about? Maybe I'm not, because it's like, wow, because a lot of people's like, what are you talking to me? My life is happy. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, pleasure and joy are very different. Pleasure is very temporary. It's fleeting. True fulfillment and joy is deeper than that. It's long term. It's not easy. I'm not saying it's easy. And by no means, Jarek, am I perfect. I appreciate the kind.
hell no,
No,
we're
I'm
not.
not perfect. I'm just saying, like, no one watching this should think, oh, Chad's got a perfect life. I will say this. I have prioritized from day one. I've known what matters to me most. And I have not sacrificed that. So, like you said, Kentucky Derby, we're in the VIP box suite. The main race is at 7 o'clock.
Big names, like
Huge,
everybody,
yeah.
huge group.
Yeah,
good
all these
connection. We
famous
have-
people we're meeting and going to get a chance to hang out with. And I never even thought twice. My wife and I were going to fly home for my son's high school volleyball game. It was a big playoff game. It meant a lot to him. I wasn't going to miss it. It means a lot to me. So I don't want to have regrets, and I'm willing to sacrifice some financial success if that's what it takes. But what it required me to do in the beginning of my career was just figure out how to work a lot smarter. So I didn't have time to work harder, and I did work hard, but I wasn't ever going to put in 100 hours a week and sacrifice everything around me. So I had to just be really smart about how I grew. And so I said, okay, with the time constraint I have, let's say I want to work 40, 50, or 60 hours a week, and that's it, and then I have family and other things going on. I'm going to be really productive with that time, and I'm going to end up in the top 1% of my industry. I'm going to do it in just less time. I'm not going to put the same amount of hours and just put it all on my back and wear myself down. I'm going to figure out how to do it smarter than everybody else so I can still achieve that exponential success and growth and be succeeding in my home and personal life as well. And to me, that's always been the priority.
How do you, like, because what happens is you go to work, right? Let's say, and then you grind, or you at home, and you grind to build a connection with
Yep.
kids and
Yep.
your wife. And that's grinding too, because this is not easy job. I mean, you got to be present. You got to
Yes.
be actually at this moment. You cannot have all this stuff going on in your head. You got to be in it.
Yes.
In the family,
Yes.
family dynamics.
Yep.
How do you switch though? Because that's a talent. I mean, I think that's a I'm pretty sure it's in all your books.
Yeah.
By the way, so far I only read 2 of your books.
Thank you.
And so it's like the switch, because it's hard from going 120 and then suddenly, honey, I'm coming home, and then 120 be at home.
Yeah.
Because like I personally, for years, I need a reset.
Yeah.
Now, I don't want to tell your tools. I mean, tell your tools. Like, how do you switch? Because
I don't know if it's a switch as it is like, okay, so 2 things that I think are very applicable and practical. Number 1, I calendar everything intentionally ahead of time as much as possible. So if I have something that is with my family, my wife, or a child, I calendar it. It's in my calendar. It is protected. It's very hard to move that or cancel it out of my calendar. So, for example, my son's high school volleyball playoff game, it was in my calendar. Once it's there and I've already prioritized it, it's hard to overrule that. Okay,
Come on, Kentucky Derby.
I know.
Come on.
But it's nothing. I mean, that was number 1. That was number 1. It just meant more to me. And I think one thing.
You have no idea how that meant for me.
Really?
I'm telling you, I talk
I didn't think it was a big deal, but you said it was.
It's humongous deal because I know how much I screw up shit in my life with the family, with my kids, and not being present, and I still do it.
Yeah.
I'm talking about it, and then I still make mistakes, even at this point. So, but you doing it, I talk to anybody I run into about it.
Oh, that's cool.
I meditate about it. I was like, how the hell, how do I do it? I'm not doing enough for my family. I don't do enough with my kids. I don't do enough with Jessica. You know what I mean? I don't do enough.
I have an order of priority that is non-negotiable. It's God, my wife, my kids, and then after that is business relationships. And there's no.
Guys, he just give you he literally give you a Bible
that's
right
that's
there.
my list.
That's the priority order.
That's the priority list.
And I'm telling you, if this is not your life, then just listen to that. Because believe me, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, it's like, oh shit, I was listening to that podcast. Chad said so. Then Jarek validated, but I wasn't ready to listen.
Yeah, if you get that out of order, that's where confusion and chaos and issues happen. If I keep that order properly, I feel like I can be fully invested at a very high level in each of those areas, and things work out. It's when things don't work out, it's because I've misprioritized my people in my life. And I have gotten that question, Jarek, and you have too, I'm sure. How do you do all of that? You're doing a lot. You're involved in this and that, and you got businesses and real estate and all these things going on. How do you do it all? My answer has always been incredible people around me that really support and understand and believe in my vision and my priorities. So surrounding yourself with A+ talent and being able to give yourself freedom and leverage, to me, that has unlocked everything. I can be here at Jarek's backyard doing this podcast. I can be speaking like I just was today at the Breakers at a big event, and I can be home tomorrow night for my kids' events because I've got a great team around me that are doing so many things that if you keep that control grip and you just insist on being the go-to person, you're involved in every decision, you're never going to have that freedom to really be fully invested in those areas of life.
I want to touch on that, okay? Because that's you touched something very important to me. If you're a douchebag, can you attract A-class people?
No. You attract who you are. You attract the quality of who you are. Yeah.
Right? How do we work on ourselves?
So, integrity to me is how you become. If you do what you say you believe and you say you're going to do, almost all of the time, nobody's perfect. But if I told you guys, I gave the presentation at Tony Robbins' event and the very first event, and I talked about how to strengthen your family and how to be successful and with wealth and have a strong family. If I then skipped my kids' game, that's weakening me. It's a lack of integrity because here I am preaching all these family values, and yet when it comes down to it, I'm more concerned with networking and connecting and watching this special horse race event, and my son is looking into the bleachers and saying, oh man, like Dad's not here, but Dad's at it's an important work event. I'm sure, I'm sure it was good for his business. And that weakens me. But I think my voice and my confidence is strong because I have integrity in the fact that I try my best to really do what I believe. And if you do what you believe, it shines through and people can feel that. You can't fake that. Yeah. And so when you're hiring, when you're recruiting, when you're looking for clients, partners, connections, employees, whatever it is, they can tell who you are and you're going to attract the people who fit. And by the way, you won't attract people that don't relate to that integrity. So everyone's going to be different, but I believe you really attract who you are. Yeah. What do you think about that?
I'm telling no, this definitely it. I mean, it's
you agree?
Really, I completely.
Yeah.
It's. I had a story a few years ago. I want to go to the next level in the business, and I couldn't believe it, and I was blaming myself that how I cannot go to the next level, and my coach told me, it's like, Jarek, you have to become the person.
There you go.
You, Jarek, have to become the person.
Yeah.
It's you. There's no shortcuts, Jarek. I can get you on the island with Richard Branson.
Yeah.
I can get you with Trump. I can get you with all those my neighbor people. It's Jarek. You.
Yep.
You have to become the person.
I agree.
And then when I become the person, I start doing all the work.
Yep.
And I did surrender to God. Because it's like at some point there's no answers. You got to find the answers within you, and you got to ask better quality questions for yourself, and stop breaking promises to yourself. That's exactly how you build the resilience and the integrity.
Well, think about you winning Ironmans.
Yeah.
I mean, what did you have to do and become the type of person who is an Ironman champion level athlete?
Just so you know, I lost Ironman distance. I won Ironman distances, not Ironman brand competition. I just want to be clear. It's on the camera.
Okay,
I won a lot of triathlons.
Professional, championship level, Olympic swimmer. The training that you did to get to that level changed who you are, right? And no one is willing to put that kind of work in, and you did it.
And that's exactly, everybody wants we want somebody else's life.
Yeah.
And when we put ourselves in it, like if somebody go into my head, like the stuff when I'm going through the storms, just get in my head. Just be there for an hour and you will say, screw it. I don't want to be even close. Screw this view, screw this house, screw the jets, screw the boats, screw the vacation.
Yeah.
I don't want to be part of it.
Yeah.
I want to be my normal me.
Right.
So
well, and that's the phrase I've heard before. Everyone's jealous of where you are and what you've got. Nobody's jealous of how you got there. Because how you got there was tough. It was difficult. And those struggles actually shaped who you are today. And like you said, you attract different people into your life because of that journey.
I attract you, brother.
That's right. That's why we connected. By the way, first night, random dinner place settings, or if you remember, I don't know, there with all the guests, there were maybe 40, 50, 60 people at that dinner. And I was sitting directly next to you.
Yeah.
And that was it.
God just likes to connect us, and we start talking,
Perfect.
And it was like that's what happened. Not breaking promises, because I always tell people, just whatever you're struggling with, stop breaking promises to yourself. When I was rebuilding, because sometimes when I was rebuilding Old Jarek, the Old Jarek wasn't serving me. I was going through a lot of issues. How do you start of building your own, like I love the word you said, integrity, but I know what you mean, integrity. It's not about mean cheating on somebody else's or cheating on people or getting shortcuts in the businesses. You mean integrity with yourself, with whatever Chad said so, that's what it is. Like I'm going for the run, like when I said I'm going for the freaking run, it's 4 o'clock in the morning, well, I can go at 5. No, I said at 4 o'clock.
Right.
Because then
you know yourself what you committed.
Yeah. So how do you like sharpen the edge that, because it's like this is never end the game for us.
No finish lines.
We have there's no finish line. You know that, right? It's like how do you do it on a daily basis?
It's interesting. There's a heart study where there were a bunch of heart disease patients, and they were told that if they didn't make drastic life changes, they were going to die. but they were given that harsh news, and you would think that's motivating enough. I have a heart disease. I'm going to die if I don't change. And yet 9 out of the 10 people in that group died, 90%. They did not end up making sustainable changes. So they did another experiment with another group, similar situation. You have heart disease. You're not going to make it if you don't make a drastic change. But this time they gave them 3 tools: coaching, accountability, and support. So they gave them coaching. Hey, here's some specific things with your body type that you need to change. Accountability, we're going to check in with you every single day and make sure you've changed your diet, your exercise, your sleep. All these things are different. And then support the community around them of other people making those same changes and striving to do those same transformations. Out of that group, only 2 out of 10 passed on average. So 77% more were able to transform their life with coaching, accountability, and support. So when I talk to people, like I shared that in the speech today, if you think you're going to reach your goals just because you really want to reach them on your own, it's going to be tough. But if you can implement and be in a group, a community that has coaching, accountability, and support, and clarity in your goals, I really believe that anything is achievable. And when it comes to integrity, you're going to make these big goals and commitments, but if you have coaching, accountability, and support, I like your chances. I like your chances.
You know, now we just, it's funny that you're talking about it. And now we with the social media and everything else, you know, we're doing podcasts, we're getting on the stages. We even now have more people to be accountable for.
It's true. It's true. There's a lot of people watching you.
I just said it on the stage.
I
said it on this podcast.
You're right.
Then I better
Yeah.
show up today.
That's right.
I better don't cheat. I better don't cheat myself.
You're not going back to alcohol. You just told tons of people.
I was like, my daughter, you know, like I also like I don't consume any sugar at all, and it's a huge impact on my brain, and you know my clearness and the fogness is gone, and it's like it's 2 years now, and we were skiing last year, and there was a dark chocolate, completely no sugar, because I don't also eat any sugar. There's like a supplement or like, you know, that
Sweeteners.
the sweeteners,
Yeah.
none of this stuff. So this chocolate was completely true dark chocolate. That was like, you know what I mean? And my daughter goes like, we are the chairlift, and she goes, yeah, and that is cheating. He's got a sweet. I'm like, no. This is no sugar. There's no sugar. This is not chocolate without anything. And we on the camera, I'm doing the podcast, podcast, like a story.
Yeah.
So it was like, so sometimes like you gotta watch.
Yeah.
You know, so
Even avoid the appearance.
yeah.
You know.
Yeah, that's the same thing. Yeah, but like a lot of times, like even with the kids, like we have we have in the champagne glass, but I do it because my kids are not 18. I mean, like 2 of them are, but 2 of them not. So I was like, I just make sure, hey, I'm not feeding my kids with alcohol, even though it looks like a champagne glass.
Right.
So appearance is good.
Yep.
But I want to go back to the book that you're writing.
Yep.
And because you said something when you give an example about the heart disease, sometimes something desperate, something really hardship, something really painful has to happen in order for us to change.
Sometimes that's the wake-up call that people need, and they won't change unless they have a wake-up call.
And I agree with that, because that happened to me. I got so many wake-up calls, but I wasn't listening. How do we bring that awareness? How do we change that? How do we... I know coaching.
One thing we can do is ask our inner circle, and that's one thing about having people around you who are honest. You know, I think...
Well, why do we don't have people around?
I think it's easy to be surrounded by fans. It's easy to be surrounded by people who are fans of yours, and they just, everything Jarek says, I'm a fan of Jarek. I would just want to be around him. I work with him. I want to fly on his jet places if all I can do is make Jarek happy. You want people who are willing to be honest. You know, it's like I was at lunch today, and there was a lady talking to me. She was so excited after the speech. And I said, I'm sorry to interrupt you. You got a big piece of green in between your teeth from the salad. And I didn't know her. I'd never met her. And she said, she removed it and she said, thank you so much. I trust you. And I said, what? She goes, I trust you. I've been talking to people for 30 minutes at this lunch table in this round, nice ballroom at the Breakers. Nobody has said anything until you just told me. And she goes, I know these people. I've gone to conferences with them. And no one said anything. She goes, I'm so embarrassed. But people who are willing to tell me the truth when it's a little uncomfortable gain my trust immediately. And I thought, wow, that's interesting. I want someone to tell me if I've got something in my teeth. So I told her. And I didn't realize that to her that was like a trust-building thing. And if you're not willing to say something that's true but uncomfortable, I can't trust you.
But do you agree, because I talk about that a lot, and people in your bubble, let's say, they want you to do better, but they don't want to do too good, because if you like move fast and you get out of the bubble, number one, you're going to leave the bubble. That's number one.
Yeah.
And number two, you bring a lot of insecurity in them, because it's like, well, if he could do it, why I didn't do it?
Sure.
So they don't want to be around you. And suddenly you did it for those people. You want to bring the people up. And those people, they want you to do better, but not too good. So until you find people, the groups that we have.
Yeah. That's the crabs in a bucket theory, where the crabs want to pull you down. I don't want to be around those kind of people.
But how do you know?
I think you can sense. Jarek, you can sense when people have insecurity. If
I have a lot of insecurities, brother.
Sure, but I mean like egotistical, where they want to compete with you. Like if you're telling me, I have 10,000 units and I have all these rentals all over the world, and my response is uncurious, and I say, oh, well, that's pretty cool. I've got 12,000 units. Like, that's an immediate red flag. That person has no emotional intelligence, no self-awareness, and they're focused on themselves. So I might learn from them, but that's not my inner circle. My inner circle needs to be someone who I want to support and see them grow, and they want to support me and see me grow. And we're going to tell each other the truth. We're going to call each other out. Like, one of my best friends in the world, his name's Johnny. Johnny will call me out. Johnny will tell me the truth. If I'm slacking or something, he's told me before. He said, hey, calm down a little bit on social media. Like, you're getting a little excited about your success. Calm down. And I'm like, thank you. I appreciate that. You called me out. And I think that's important. I've said things to him that were a little bit uncomfortable. But if you can find people in your inner circle that are willing to be honest and upfront with you and tell you you've got some food in your teeth, those are keepers. Those are keepers. And I think you can tell when someone doesn't really challenge you or ask questions, they're not curious, and it's really just like this competition thing. Like, to me, that's a red flag. It's not my inner circle.
Got it. Okay, but I will go again, because that's what I'm struggling.
Go.
Right?
Go.
The awareness. I think our conscious level and awareness, like, I work on it. Like this is the work that I do.
Yes.
I do a lot of work on myself. I do a lot of praying. I do a lot of meditating, a lot of asking questions.
Yep.
How do I do in this situation? But a lot of people don't have that, and they do have those people. And I love what you say, because I say about Polish people, the crab in the bucket. That's what I say.
Yeah.
They want you to be successful, but not too much.
Not too successful.
Because it's a lot of times, it's hard. You have to remove yourself even from family members.
Yes.
And move your way, and then come back to try to bring him up. But there's a lot of weight on you. How do you find those people that you like? How do you look for the inner circle?
That's a great question, Jarek. I find people who have big vision. And wherever I go, I'm having conversations with people, and I'm hoping to find someone with big vision, big ambition, a positive mindset, a grateful mindset, a curious mindset, someone who talks about things besides just money. Sometimes people might see some thing of status or success, and they think that's what I care about, and that's all they want to talk about. And I'm turned off by that, because there's more to life than financial things. And so I really want to pay attention to what people care about, what they talk about. Like you always talk about the inner wealth.
Mm-hmm.
You talk about not feeling like you have enough. You know, your book right here, Not Enoughness. You talk about it's one thing to be successful financially, but if you're hurting inside, what's the point? And to me, that kind of depth makes you who you are. You have that curiosity, you have that humility to pray, to meditate, to ask questions, to learn. You know, I want to be around learn-it-alls,
Yes.
not know-it-alls.
Right.
Know-it-alls they're not going anywhere. They won't need help. They already know everything. I'm curious. Like I'm taking notes when people are up there talking, and I like those kinds of curious learners.
Seriously, because it's like I wanna learn, and the older I get, the more I even read, the more I surround myself with the better quality people.
Yep.
I just realize how little do I know, and I just want to shut the fuck up,
Yeah.
and I just want to listen. You know what I mean? And then I start questioning myself. Just say something, like, you know. And I'm like, but let him talk. Like I'm learning so much.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But then if you don't say anything, they're gonna think that you're not interested in the subject. And it's like I am interested, but I truly don't know anything about this. But nobody ever brought a perspective from this angle.
Yep.
So I want to learn.
Yep.
I want to learn as much as possible about people's patterns, you know, about people like struggles, all the stuff they go through, and be around. And I love what you also said. Just be around people that they don't talk about money, they don't talk about other people. They talk about the vision, about the
ideas,
patterns, the ideas. How can I change?
Improvement, growth. That's what they're talking about. How can I get better? What can I do better? What can I improve? People who are fixed mindset thinkers believe they already figured it out. They don't read, they don't learn, they don't go to conferences to study and meet new people.
By the way, he described old Jarek. Everything he's saying right now, this is Jarek.
I'm talking to old Jarek.
We would not be sitting here. Like really, like we would never connect, just so you know.
Yeah.
Like old Jarek was like, I knew everything. Like, you know, it's like, my worst age, Chad, it was 33 years old.
33, interesting.
I mean, this was the worst year. Like I really thought I walk on water. I know everything. I was so successful. Anything I touch turns to gold. I'm the shit. Quickly, I learned quickly that, you know,
get some wake up calls.
What is important?
Yeah.
But I have to get like really slapped in the face so many times because I was stubborn. I'm a Taurus, so I was stubborn. I didn't want to listen to anybody.
So my philosophy on that is you can either choose to be humbled or God's going to find a way to humble you. Either one.
No.
You can choose to be humbled or you can take that wake-up call that's probably going to force you to figure it out and say, hold on a second, maybe I'm missing the whole point. I also believe, Jarek, when you're evolving and growing, that if you're becoming a different person, your inner circle is going to naturally change. People won't be comfortable around you. Like, Jarek, if you're training for a full Ironman and you're running and you're cycling for hours and you're swimming, someone who has no interest in exercise doesn't want to hang out with you.
No.
They don't want to hear about your 5 hours, 7 hours of training. They have no interest.
Nope.
In fact, it makes them feel uncomfortable. You're going to attract people who are also training. And so I think that's true whether it's financially, family focused, health focused, mental health focused, all these different areas. If you are evolving and growing and striving, you're naturally going to find other people who are going towards that same target. And so the inner circle evolves because you're around different people doing different things. But you, like you said originally, you have to work on yourself.
I think
you have to become ready and prepared to receive all that success first. It won't come if you're not ready for it.
Yeah. My order is God, then me, then my family.
I like it.
Because what happened is I neglected myself for so long, Chad.
Makes sense.
That really I was my family, my wife, my kids. It was everything for me, and I forgot about myself. So what happened? There was the little spot that was empty because, you know, I know that I repeat this on every single freaking podcast, but at the age of 48, I learned that the oxygen mask goes first to me and then to everybody else, but I would give it to everybody else, but then me last. So that's why for me, but and that's not being narcissistic at all.
No, I understand
It's
what you're
just
saying.
me feeding my soul, my
Yes.
spirit, my
Yes.
my energy, connected. Because when I can connect with myself, which I never knew how, I could not connect with you. I could not connect with my queen. I could not connect with my kids. I could not connect with my employees. I could not connect with anybody.
Yeah. You have to be healthy and grounded first.
Yeah,
For sure.
and we a lot of times we forget that. And the funny story just reminds me about bringing the insecurities. I had my good friend Libor Zavolsky, that I love the guy, and he quit drinking. He got third DUI. He quit drinking like 12 years ago. And I love his body. We played soccer. We were always like competitive. We were just best friends. And I want to be around him, but I don't want to go on any vacation with him. He was my CFO because I want to drink.
Oh, interesting.
But he wasn't drinking.
Yeah.
So what happened is when I was around him, I feel less.
Yeah. That's what I'm talking about.
That's right
Yeah.
there.
If your habits are misaligned, your
Yes.
priorities are misaligned, you're not comfortable anyways.
Yeah, and he goes like, yeah, like, dude, I'm your friend. I want to be around you, but like, I'm your friend too. I love you, brother, but not. Do you know what I mean? Because I was bringing and now it's a different story. You know what I mean? But that's not. This is a one example, but I have so many of those examples.
Right.
And until we work on ourselves, and then it's not going to happen. So we agree, finding the inner circle, finding the right people, maybe the coaches.
Yep.
And I think the social media has got a big access to those people. I know there's a lot. I want to talk about that one post that
What?
I couldn't believe it. Remember
What?
when you?
Well, I gotta hear this.
Remember you put the post. It's like be careful who you follow on the social media, because a lot of them are broke, but they teach you how to make money.
It's true.
Remember the
Yeah,
post?
it's true.
And I'm like, how do you? Because it's not easy.
Yeah.
So how do you? How,
Just I always say be careful who you follow and who you take advice from. There's a lot of people I think out there that pretend to be something online but aren't the same in real life. And so I appreciate authentic people who are the same in social media and media and in real life. Like if someone were to watch our podcast and then they bumped into me at an event, I feel like they could talk to me and they would already know who I am, because this is all unscripted, unrehearsed. This is just who we are. And I think that's important, because there's a lot of people pretending online, and that's a problem with social media. And I don't think there's a way around it, but there are a lot of people who pretend to be something they're not in order to gain money and fame and success. But authentic, I think you can really tell. And I think, with AI and everything that's evolving over the next 10 years, people are going to really crave authenticity and sincerity and integrity, because everything is going to be very much done for you, automated, technology-based, except for the personal connection, the human touch.
I think
That, to me, is not going to be replaced. A lot of other things will be replaced. But really, if you can connect with someone and you can be honest, you can look them in the eyes and share what you care about and find connection, find alignment, that's going to be what you value most in a world that is completely run by technology.
And if we didn't get a wake-up call, Chad, through the COVID,
Yeah.
when we
I know.
completely lost the connection
know.
because we were on the phones and everything else. And,
Yeah.
and look at this, completely different. Replace energy over here, or when we talk over there, or when inside. It's completely different than just being on the Zoom call.
100%.
Like that's why I even hate doing those, those Zooms podcasts.
Yep.
It's
not the
I
same.
sometimes love the people, but sometimes not the same. So
Yeah.
I'm just so I'm looking at your eyes. Guys, I have a surgery, so that's why I have my eyes.
I think the shades look great.
So the shades looks good. So I'm
Shades
just
look cool.
covering. I'm not gonna be on the camera for another week or two. So when you look younger, prettier, because I have some surgeries done, so look younger, prettier.
I think
but
you
my
look
eyes
great.
are a little bit still like bruised. So just No, I'm not taking them out.
Thank you for having me on and letting me come to your beautiful house.
Thank you, brother.
This view, I mean, it's just amazing. Spending time with you is amazing.
So what do we do next? What is the next for Chad?
For me?
Except the book.
Yeah, besides the book, I've got a lot of great things coming up. This summer is going to be very family focused. Between our kids' sports, one of my sons is going to be playing in the Junior Olympics. Another son is going to be doing football and basketball. My daughter's going to be in volleyball tournaments all over the U.S. And we're dropping our oldest son off at college. He's moving away this summer. And then in December, our oldest child, our daughter, is returning back from her church volunteer mission. So we're going to welcome her home. We will not have seen her in 18 months. And that's going to be a special reunion that we're very excited about.
How old is she now?
She will be 21 when she comes home.
Is she's at right now?
Yeah, she's there right now.
Where she's at right
now.
now?
She started in Mexico, and now she's in Missouri. Yeah.
So they just travel
Yeah, so they travel and they do service, humanitarian work, and just trying to share good values and principles to families that are willing to listen. And she's currently doing it in Spanish, so she's speaking Spanish every day, which is kind of cool.
That's good.
Yeah.
We touched another subject that one of your posts went viral about alcohol.
Yeah. Yep.
I know. I did mention that you the first one, and I think you are the first one actually that never drank. But me personally, I don't drink. A lot of guys when hit the last call was hitting the bottom of the bottle.
Yes.
And there's and that's not only alcohol but other stuff.
Sure.
And you get a lot of feedback. Mm-hmm. What is the feedback for all that? Because a lot of entrepreneurs hide behind bottle. When they suddenly use alcohol to celebrate the wins and also to also hide behind the pain.
Yeah.
And then
it masks a lot of emotions. What's interesting is I wrote the article for Entrepreneur Magazine, and then it really went viral. And then I shared a post on LinkedIn about it, and it really took off. And the theme was why high-performing entrepreneurs are ditching alcohol and what it means. And I used to be the only person in the room that didn't have alcohol. So if I would go to a dinner banquet or a dinner event and there's 20, 30, 50 people, I'm the only person. I got a water. If I'm really
not true, because all the rules that we're on right now, there's
no. I'm saying back then. I'm saying like 10 years ago, 15 years ago.
Got it.
I was the only guy, and it was like I was the weirdo, and people were like, "Come on, man! Like we're celebrating, like or it's part of our tradition that we do this shot of this or whatever it is." And it was a very different situation. Now I think it's almost the opposite. Like you said, I feel like that sobriety movement has changed. You see the beverage companies have completely shifted their product inventory to non-alcoholic drinks. I think people are waking up to the poison and damage that it could cause to their life. They know that they can't perform at their highest level.
That's for sure.
When they're not able to focus. Their brain health is everything, like you say.
It's even I talk about the brain health. It's the mind health, brain health. That's what it's like. Like people said, well, that's the physical health is more important. If you don't have this mindset, the brain health, the mind health, to get out, go to the gym, go for the run, get on the bike ride, go to the swim, make the phone call, do the text, do the uncomfortable call. It's not happening, and everything starts here. I know that we live from here, and that's our soul and everything else. But this is the most important, and now it's like a new I don't know pattern, but it's like a new stage. It was like in 1990s. In Europe, everybody smoked.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Then I moved to the United States. It's like people, when you smoke, you look weird. Did you notice that even right now, when you see smokers, they're from Europe?
Yes,
It was a new thing, that not smoking. Now is the vibe with the kids, but non-smoking. And I think right now it is. I think the alcohol, people realize what a big poison it is, and it's a lot. That's the cause of a lot of depressions.
Absolutely.
A lot of suicides. A lot of failures, bankruptcies.
And what I ask
is
divorces and what's the upside? What is the upside? A temporary, fake pleasure or relaxation? Like I just don't see the upside. I see a lot of downside, and so it's pretty cool to be witnessing what's happening and that complete sobriety and health movement, because we've, as you've said many times, mental health and brain health is critical to everything you do.
Yeah. Because I think that's where we start. Like we have a gift, and then and to me, for me personally, Chad, it also helped me to connect. I think alcohol also killed this chakra over here. So what happened is blocks the connections between your soul and spirit.
Interesting, yeah.
And it's like
It numbs everything
and
there.
yes, it numbs. So what happened is the life doesn't happen from inside from to outside. It happens from outside because you're pouring the poison
Yes.
inside.
Interesting.
And if you told me that I will speak like that, 5-6 years ago, I'd be like, "You delusional." I'll be the guy at the bar. Check, come on, dude. Let's
Yeah.
finish the podcast. Let's get shit faced. Let's go
Yeah.
to the bar.
Yep.
But it's definitely there. Your book, not, there's one book you write about. No, which one is
About which one?
kids?
Smart
The-
Not
this-
Spoiled. Yeah.
You talk. Oh no, this was your speech. No, this
Yeah, the speech is about the family and everything.
the
yeah.
family.
Yeah. Traditions.
This is the question for
yeah,
you.
go ahead.
Okay?
Go ahead.
Our kids not gonna have our hunger. They not. I'm getting goosebumps because I have 5 kids. So this is for me, not for you guys. Okay. I want to be selfish right now. Our kids not gonna have the hunger because we create the life, financial support,
Yep.
and security that we didn't have.
Yep.
I'm coming from, middle family. I'm poor. I'm from Poland, but I didn't have what I have. My kids.
Of course.
I built the road for them.
Of course.
How Chad teaches the kids about financial literacy, emotional intelligence, mental health, being able to use, because for me, and I know you, I know you well enough, it was the hunger. They don't have the hunger. They have access to all of it. It's like, if I want to fly my private jet, I have to buy my own jet. You know what I mean? I bought the first Louis Vuitton, I bought the first Rolex when I have this deal done. You know what I mean? It took me years. My kids have access to all of this since they were born, since they were little. Here's my question. How Chad prepare the kids? And I'm not saying because successful means a lot of times we already recognize the financial success. I talk too much. I'm asking the questions, and then I'm sorry, guys. The financial success is not everything.
Yep.
What do you teach your kids to take everything you build to fulfill what they need to be happy and do not to be successful?
Yeah. I would say that is that book. The reason I wrote that book is because this topic kept me up all the time. I was thinking about, worrying about it, thinking like when I was a kid, it was a very different lifestyle. There were lots of even just simple things like sports camps. I was a really good athlete when I was a kid, and I wanted to be involved in just sports camps in the summer, and they cost $100, and it was too much. And so I remember my cousin would go to the sports camps, and I couldn't go. And you're right, it motivated me to be hungry. How do we teach our kids who have resources and access to be hungry and to work hard? I think that's why that book is called Smart Not Spoiled. I have done a lot since my kids were little to try to force them to be self-reliant, independent, and allow them to struggle. Allow them to fall off the bike and scrape their knees. Like when they were little, I had them go to the bank, and I stayed in the back, and there's a picture in that book of this situation. I said, go up to the front and open a bank account. Like, I'm 7 years old. I don't know what I'm doing. Go up there and figure it out. I'll stand back here. My kids would go up. They would stand in line. They had maybe $10, $15. I said, I need to open a bank account. And they would talk to the teller, and they would figure it out. I think we need to make sure our kids are uncomfortable and growing, and we don't solve things for them. So when my kids have a situation,
perfect, yeah. Do not solve.
Yeah,
this.
don't solve it for them. When my kids have a situation with, for example, they're all athletes. So they have a situation with coaches, and maybe they have a problem where they want to get more playing time, or they want to get something better out of their sports experience. I do not talk to the coach. A lot of parents do, and in some cases, I might be helping sponsor the team. You know, I could definitely try to have influence and say, hey, coach, like, my kid's not getting this or that. Why don't you help them out? I have never once in my entire life spoken to their coaches, and my kids have gone all the way up into Division I sports. So I say, well, what are you going to do about it? What are you going to say to the coach? And some of the kids are comfortable confronting the coach. Some of them aren't. But I say, let's role play. Let's talk about what you're going to say. And there's been some very uncomfortable conversations where they had to solve their own issues. And I believe that's one thing my wife and I have done really is help them to think and act independently when we could really just make the problem go away and solve it. But we've resisted the temptation to make it super easy and solve the issues for them. We will teach them financial literacy. We'll give them a financial education. We'll involve them in our conversations about investing in business and things like that, just like you do with your son. And we will force them to actually take uncomfortable action at a young age where they are learning no matter what, because it's their experience. It's not mommy and daddy doing it for them.
It's not only even advice for the kids, for us too.
100%.
Be uncomfortable.
100%.
Be comfortable being uncomfortable.
Correct.
And I keep talking about the same thing. So
yeah. The growth comes when you're uncomfortable. And so I want to give our kids a chance to be independently uncomfortable and solve their own problems, have hard conversations as a kid, make financial mistakes as a kid. Like, our kids will save in an investment account. They opened accounts at Charles Schwab. They opened a Roth IRA. They worked. They each created a little business where they earned their own money. They put the money in, they invested it. And I said, well, I'll help you talk about investments, but you got to make the investments. Yeah. I want them to make mistakes that are $100, $500, $200, not when they are 65 and they never been taught and they're making $100,000.
I think because we learn we don't like I keep talking about it all the time. I have not learned shit from successes. Yep. It just, my ego got stupid. No, really. From all the failures, those are my best lessons. Yeah. And I can talk about my failures over and over and over again. And I think if the younger, whoever's listening, the younger kids you have, yep, the quicker you teach them how to fail and let him fail and let him just have the awareness and the emotional intelligence about losing, it's not losing. The lessons, I think it's huge. So they prepare. There's like, shit, something fails. Like, if they never failed, everything was, because we want to protect our kids.
Here's a great story. My son, who's in middle school, wanted to buy an electric bike really badly. I said, I don't like that idea. They're not safe. There's so many cars in Southern California. Like, I don't like the idea. You're a premier athlete. It's not a good idea to be cruising around on these e-bikes with your friends. He said, Dad, I really want to do it, and I'm going to save up the money. I'm going to earn the money. I'm going to buy it myself. It's a couple $1,000s. So he did. He bought it. He got the e-bike. March 2 months ago, he crashed the e-bike, broke his wrist in a cast, missing the most important basketball season of his life, preparing for high school. Is a very big deal, travel tournaments all over the country. And what my wife said, he walked by the garage, 3 or 4 weeks into the injury, and he kicked the electric bike on the ground. I can't believe I rode that stupid thing. I can't believe I'm sitting here watching my team practice and watching them play in front of all these college coaches, and I'm not there.
That's the question we just talked about. Where sometimes you've been told,
yes,
but we're not listening. Like, your son have to learn the lesson.
He had to learn the lesson himself.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
He's never going back to that thing.
Yeah, but he's going to make other mistakes. So
he will.
Yeah,
he will.
Because we all do other mistakes.
Right, but had I prevented him from doing that, he wouldn't have learned on his own. I wish he didn't get injured. I wish it never happened. But now he really thinks about protecting his health, and he's really focused on his athletic career because that's a lot of his future. And so I'll tell you, Jarek, he's in 8th grade. He's 6'7.5" and 226 pounds right now. So he's got a lot of potential. He's very athletic, and he wants to follow in his big sister's footsteps as a college athlete. And now he understands, because of this injury, And I'd rather him learn this now in 8th grade than as a senior in high school when all these scholarships and NIL money is on the line. Like, it sucks, but it's better that he learned it now.
She learned it quickly. I learned it when I had my ski accident, 44
Yes.
years old.
Yes.
That was my first wake-up call when I
How
found
old
out.
were you?
44.
44.
You know, I had a 6 months in hospital, 13 surgeries.
Sheesh.
I almost lost my leg. I was the Ironman champion. I was like winning all this stuff. And
6
suddenly,
months in the hospital?
yeah, 13 surgeries in and out, like broke the hand, arm, legs, everything. And this was my first call. And I just realized I have only wins.
Mm.
That was my first loss, like a serious loss.
Mm.
And I was like, I have zero. I didn't know how to do with that. You know what I mean? Because everything outside, I could fix it. So I didn't have to deal with all the shit inside.
Right.
And I have no idea how to deal with that.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And no one could have taught you that, though. You had to
No.
go through that
No.
to learn those lessons.
But that's what happened. Like you said, God makes you humble. I mean,
That's right.
God doesn't punish us. We punish
No, yeah.
ourselves.
Yep.
It's like, you know, but this is like right now, I'm telling you, this was the best lesson I could probably get.
Probably changed the course
The
of your
entire,
life. Yeah.
my whole life, because that prepared me for the next, you know, struggles, for then, you know, the divorce and the kids and all my other stuff. Completely, it was like a wake up call.
Wow.
To me, that was much like a threshold.
Yeah.
But at that time, it was the end of the life. And you know, your son's gonna take the story, and he said, like, imagine just doing this in the high school. Imagine just going through, let's say, you know, NBA or going
Yeah.
through like a pro sports.
Terrible.
And it happened in the season because
Yeah,
he rode not the C-Run, not the electric bike. He would
Yeah,
a real motorcycle.
Yeah. That's true.
Can you imagine? And
It's
it
true.
wouldn't be just a race; it would be a lot bigger.
Right.
So it's huge. So it's so again, so perfect. So the failures.
Yes. That's where we learn.
Yeah, but we cannot just like, you know, let him fail. Let him fail. Like, you know, even though we come, it's like, you know, how does Ember
Yeah,
does
don't-
it?
don't
How does Ember does it with
Yes.
this? Because, you know,
Yeah.
she is mom. You know, for mom it's hard. It's
Yeah.
like, I want to save my child, and then father comes in. Oh, let him tough love, and
Right.
it's like, yeah. How does Ember do it with that?
She's actually very free spirited. She really does let the kids explore. You know, she's an adventurous explorer. And when we travel, she definitely is more of a risk taker and likes to do adventurous things. And so she helps all of us get outside our comfort zone. You know, we were just in Peru last month, and we went to the Via Ferrata, and it's the 1,000-foot cliff straight up. And we had our small kids with us, and I thought, first of all, I don't even want to climb up that cliff. There's no way my little kids are going to do it. And we all did it. You know, it was 12,000 feet elevation in Peru. We climbed all the way up there with our gear, and we slept in those pods that hang off the side of the cliff. And what a cool experience. My son, my youngest son, this was awesome. At dinner the next night, he said, Dad, Mom, that is the hardest thing I've ever done. He's 9.
Yeah.
But to him, man, he felt like a champion.
Yeah.
Because he's like, that's the hardest thing I've ever
That's the
done.
build-up. That's the
That's the
resilience.
build-up. Yeah, he
That's
looked down and he's
right
like,
there. Yeah.
I climbed that. I went all the way straight up that, Dad.
People ask me, like, Jarek, where's the work ethics from? I'm like, when I was a swimmer, I was 6, 7, 8 years old kid. I was swimming, you know, 6, 7 hours a day. And then I have a dry, like a gym workout and all stuff. I never complained, Chad. I never complained.
Yeah.
So then when I suddenly went outside the world, I finished college.
Yep.
I went to like a, you know, corporate world. Like whatever hard was for somebody else, for me was easy.
Easy.
Like this is like people complain about this shit. This is walk in the park.
Yeah.
So what happened if even my coaches, my parents, like, you know, did I say, you know, my parents, like, you know, I wanted more love? Yeah. You know, when I went through all the healing. But my parents, you know, even I make the same mistake. They did the best they knew at the time.
Sure.
There's the conscious level they have, and they give me the gift, and that's what, like, you know, I'm successful.
Yep.
That's what there's swim, and I'm not going to financial successful because now I redefine the success, and that's a question for you. What is success for Chad?
Success to me really is living a life that's fully invested, having integrity, doing what I say I'm going to do, having relationships. To me, it's that order of priority. If I'm aligned with God, if my wife and I are aligned in doing well, if my kids and I have a relationship where they want to be with me and want to talk to me, that's success. The business stuff, the financial stuff, that's extra. That's gravy. If I have those foundations, if you took away money and possessions, wealth and businesses, but I still had the first three, I believe I'm successful. And I think with that foundation, anything is possible. So the business goals and dreams and visions that I have is really to make an impact, to bless people, to have really cool experiences with awesome people, and to just say that I gave it my all and life was amazing. Like, I want to show up exhausted at the end of life. Like, I gave it my all and I wasted no time. I did this. I didn't have regrets. You know, I learned from my failures and my mistakes, but man, I was living. Like, I gave it my all.
That's
what I mean?
The inner wealth. That's the inner wealth.
That's the inner wealth.
And, you know, the wealthier you are inside, the wealthier the outside, because the less you need, because then the gratitude.
That's true.
The gratitude comes. It's like, I woke up. You know, before accident, I always was grateful, but I never thanked my body. I thought I have to have my body. Dude, I have 2 hands, 2 legs. Like, people are born without it. You know, people are quadriplegic. You know, it's like paralyzed. I got everything. Just I woke up. Like, what? It's you know, the more the wealthy you are inside, the less you need.
That's it.
But it's funny. Then the abundance comes.
Yes.
Because you don't chase it.
That's
just the gates open because you do the right things.
That's right.
So, brother.
Well said.
Appreciate you.
Appreciate you, man.
Thank you for being
been
on my
amazing.
podcast. Hopefully it's not too dark yet.
No, it's beautiful.
You know, Chad, when people can find you and tell when people can find you.
Yeah, so chadwillardson.com is my website, and I'm active daily on LinkedIn. Like that's a place where I share daily. Instagram, we have some fun there as well, but LinkedIn is where I'm sharing insights. I share, you know, I write a newsletter a couple times a week for all of our people that want to see what I'm teaching. But yeah, I mean, I'd love to keep in touch because you're with your listeners, because you've got a great audience. We're aligned on how we view the world and how we view life.
Yes.
So I appreciate you and your family.
Follow Chad. You know where to find him. And thank you guys for watching.
Thank
Hopefully you got some good pointers.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Love life.
That's
Bye.
right.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening. Leave your comments and subscribe for more insights on mastering the inner and outer wealth.